California, home to sunny beaches, Hollywood dreams, avocado toast, and apparently a ton of ghosts. Welcome back to part 2 of our tour of California's creepiest, most haunted places. If you thought part 1 was spooky, strap in because the Golden State has no shortage of eerie tales and ghostly shenanigans. This is where sunshine meets spine-chilling screams, proving once again that California has everything. California is so haunted that one episode just wasn't enough. Why limit ourselves to one creepy chapter when we've got a whole library of ghost stories waiting? It's like California said, we've got earthquakes, wildfires, and traffic, but don't forget the poltergeists. In today's video, we'll be covering even more paranormal hotspots, from spectral surfers riding ghost waves, yes, that's a thing, to theaters where the audience isn't just clapping, they're rattling chains. Forget the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We're taking a stroll down the haunted boulevard where the stars never truly rest in peace. And no, this isn't a movie plot, this is California's real-life horror anthology. What is it about California that draws so many restless spirits? Is it the eternal sunshine, the endless drama, or maybe even ghosts want a front-row seat to all the action? Picture this, a ghost floating past the Golden Gate Bridge muttering, "I died here 100 years ago, and these are the rent prices now?" Even in the afterlife, California living isn't cheap. Whether you're a skeptic or a full-on believer, these stories are bound to entertain, if not give you goosebumps. And hey, even if you don't believe in ghosts, you might start believing in the terrifying reality of California's late-night gas prices. So grab your EMF detectors, a flashlight, and maybe a blanket to hide under, because part 2 is here to take you deeper into California's haunted history. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now if you're ready, let's get spooky. Welcome to Screamville. All right, let's kick things off with a real head-scratcher. The Winchester Mystery House in San Jose. This architectural enigma has puzzled historians, architects, and paranormal enthusiasts for decades. It's not just a house, it's a sprawling mansion with a story as twisted as its hallways. Now, this place is like the granddaddy of haunted houses in California. Imagine a house that seems to have a mind of its own, constantly evolving and expanding, almost as if it were alive. The Winchester Mystery House is a labyrinthine structure that defies conventional architectural logic. It's got everything: secret passages, staircases that lead to nowhere, doors that open to brick walls. You could spend days exploring its 160 rooms and still not see everything. The house is a maze of oddities, each corner revealing something more bizarre than the last. Seriously, this place is weirder than a pigeon wearing a monocle. The architectural choices are so eccentric that they almost seem whimsical. Yet there's an underlying sense of unease that permeates the entire structure. The story goes that Sarah Winchester, the widow of the Winchester rifle magnate, was told by a psychic that she was cursed by the spirits of those killed by her husband's rifles. This revelation came after the tragic deaths of her infant daughter and her husband, leaving her grief-stricken and desperate for answers. The solution? Build, build, build. The psychic advised her to construct a house that would appease the restless spirits, and Sarah took this advice to heart. She believed that as long as construction continued, she would be safe from the vengeful ghosts. And that's exactly what she did, 24/7 for 38 years straight. Imagine the constant noise of hammers and saws, the never-ending presence of construction workers. It was a project of epic proportions, driven by fear and superstition. Talk about a home improvement project from hell. The house grew and grew, with no master plan or blueprint to guide its expansion. Rooms were added haphazardly, resulting in a chaotic and confusing layout. Now, I don't know about curses, but I do know that this place gives me the creeps. Walking through its dimly lit hallways, you can't help but feel a sense of disorientation and unease. It's as if the house itself is watching you, waiting for you to get lost in its endless corridors. It's like the architect just threw a dart at a blueprint and said, "Let's build that." The design choices are so random and illogical that they defy explanation. It's a testament to Sarah's unique vision and the lengths she was willing to go to protect herself from the supernatural. Doors open to 5-foot drops, windows look into other rooms, and don't even get me started on the number of staircases. Some staircases lead to ceilings, while others end abruptly, leaving you wondering what their purpose could possibly be. It's enough to make your head spin. The house is a disorienting maze designed to confuse and confound anyone who dares to enter. It's a place where logic and reason go out the window, replaced by a sense of surrealism and mystery. Some say Sarah designed the house this way to confuse the spirits, creating a labyrinth they couldn't navigate. This theory suggests that the house's bizarre layout was a deliberate attempt to protect herself from the vengeful ghosts that haunted her. But honestly, I think she just had some really out-there taste in interior design. The house is filled with eclectic and unusual decor, reflecting Sarah's unique personality and her willingness to embrace the unconventional. Either way, the Winchester Mystery House remains one of the most baffling and allegedly haunted locations in the state. It's a place where history, mystery, and the supernatural collide, creating an experience that is both fascinating and unsettling. The craftsmanship in the house is remarkable, with intricate woodwork and beautiful stained glass windows. These details add to the house's charm and mystique, making it a true architectural marvel despite its oddities. Researchers have pored over historical documents and blueprints, trying to make sense of the house's construction. Yet the more they uncover, the more questions arise. It's a puzzle that may never be fully solved. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is a popular tourist attraction, drawing visitors from around the world. Guided tours take you through its winding hallways and peculiar rooms, offering a glimpse into the mind of Sarah Winchester and the legends that surround her. Visitors often react with a mix of surprise and curiosity as they explore the house. Each room holds a new discovery, a new mystery to ponder. It's an experience that leaves a lasting impression, long after you've left its haunted halls. Paranormal investigators have also been drawn to the Winchester Mystery House, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. With its reputation for being haunted, the house has become a hotspot for ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike. Equipped with cameras, EMF detectors, and other ghost hunting tools, these investigators scour the house for signs of paranormal activity. While some claim to have experienced unexplained phenomena, others remain skeptical, attributing the eerie atmosphere to the house's unusual design. At night, the house takes on an even more sinister appearance. Shadows dance across its facade, and the creaking of floorboards echoes through its empty rooms. It's easy to see why so many believe the house is haunted, with its dark history and unsettling ambiance. Sarah Winchester was known to be interested in spiritualism, a popular movement in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. She reportedly held seances in the house, attempting to communicate with the spirits that she believed were guiding her construction efforts. Imagine the scene: a dimly lit room, the flicker of candlelight, and the hushed voices of Sarah and a medium, seeking answers from the beyond. These seances were a crucial part of Sarah's life, influencing her decisions and the house's ever-changing design. The house is filled with symbols and motifs that reflect Sarah's fascination with the supernatural. The number 13 appears frequently, from the 13 bathrooms to the 13 windows in certain rooms. It's as if the house itself is a giant puzzle, with each element holding a deeper meaning. For those brave enough, nighttime tours offer a chance to experience the house in its most eerie state. Armed with flashlights, visitors navigate the darkened hallways, their imaginations running wild with thoughts of ghosts and spirits lurking in the shadows. The history of the Winchester Mystery House is as complex and intriguing as the house itself. It's a story of grief, obsession, and the lengths one woman went to in her quest for peace. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, there's no denying the house's impact on those who visit. From above, the Winchester Mystery House looks like a sprawling maze, its many wings and additions creating a patchwork of architectural styles. It's a testament to Sarah's relentless drive and the unique vision that guided her for nearly 4 decades. Today, Sarah Winchester is remembered not just for her eccentricities, but for her resilience and determination. The house stands as a monument to her life and the mysteries that continue to surround it. As visitors leave the Winchester Mystery House, they often do so with a sense of wonder and curiosity. The house has a way of staying with you, its mysteries lingering in your mind long after you've walked out its doors. As the sun sets over the Winchester Mystery House, casting long shadows across its facade, one can't help but feel a sense of awe. It's a place where history and legend intertwine, creating a story that is as captivating as it is enigmatic. The Winchester Mystery House remains one of the most fascinating and mysterious landmarks in California. Whether you're drawn by its architectural oddities, its haunted reputation, or the story of Sarah Winchester herself, it's a place that promises an unforgettable experience. So, if you ever find yourself in San Jose, take a trip to the Winchester Mystery House. Who knows what secrets you might uncover? All right, next up on our spooky road trip, we're heading to a place that needs no introduction, Alcatraz Island. This small rocky island located in the middle of San Francisco Bay has a history as dark and mysterious as the fog that often surrounds it. Known primarily for its infamous federal prison, Alcatraz has been the subject of countless stories, legends, and ghostly tales. But there's more to this island than just its prison walls. From its early days as a military fort to its time as a maximum security penitentiary, Alcatraz has always been a place of intrigue and fear. This infamous prison, perched on a desolate rock in the middle of San Francisco Bay, has a reputation that precedes it. The island's isolation made it the perfect location for a prison that was meant to be inescapable. Surrounded by cold, treacherous waters and strong currents, Alcatraz was designed to be a place where escape was not an option. The prison opened in 1934 and quickly became known as the end of the line for America's most dangerous criminals. It's housed some of the most notorious criminals in American history, and let me tell you, some of them never checked out. Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz, are just a few of the infamous names that called this place home. These men were sent to Alcatraz because they were considered too dangerous or too difficult to manage in other prisons. The harsh conditions and strict rules of Alcatraz were meant to break their spirits and keep them in line. Alcatraz was designed to be inescapable, a place where even the most hardened criminals would lose hope. The prison cells were small and bare, offering little comfort to the men who lived there. The daily routine was monotonous and grueling, with strict rules and constant surveillance. Inmates were allowed only one visit per month, and even then, the visits were conducted through thick glass and monitored by guards. The isolation and lack of human contact took a heavy toll on the prisoners' mental health. But the isolation, the brutal conditions, and the constant threat of violence took their toll on everyone, inmates and guards alike. The guards lived on the island with their families, in a small community separate from the prison. They were constantly on edge, knowing that any moment could bring an outbreak of violence. The tension and fear were palpable, and it wasn't uncommon for guards to suffer from stress and anxiety. The island's harsh environment only added to the sense of dread that hung over Alcatraz. It's no wonder that this place is said to be crawling with restless spirits. The stories of ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena have been passed down through the years, adding to the island's eerie reputation. Some say that the spirits of former inmates still roam the prison, unable to find peace. Others believe that the island itself is haunted, cursed by the suffering and despair that took place there. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Alcatraz has an unsettling atmosphere that can send chills down your spine. One of the most haunted spots on the island is said to be Cell 14D. This tiny, cold, and utterly bleak cell was once home to a man known only as the Thing. The cell was used for solitary confinement, a punishment reserved for the most unruly inmates. It was a place of complete isolation, where prisoners were left alone with their thoughts and their fears. The Thing was one such prisoner, and his story is one of the most chilling tales to come out of Alcatraz. This tiny, cold, and utterly bleak cell was once home to a man known only as the Thing. He claimed to be haunted by a creature with glowing eyes, a creature that terrified him so much he eventually lost his mind. The Thing's story has become a legend among those who study the paranormal, and many believe that his spirit still lingers in Cell 14D. The cell is said to be one of the most active spots on the island, with visitors and guards alike reporting strange noises, cold spots, and an overwhelming sense of dread. He claimed to be haunted by a creature with glowing eyes, a creature that terrified him so much he eventually lost his mind. The Thing's story is just one of many that have contributed to Alcatraz's reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. The island's dark history and the suffering that took place there have left a mark that can still be felt today. Whether it's the ghostly apparitions, the unexplained noises, or the feeling of being watched, there's something about Alcatraz that continues to captivate and terrify those who visit. Visitors and guards alike have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and despair in Cell 14D. Some have even claimed to have seen the glowing eyes of the Thing peering out from the darkness. The cell has become a popular spot for ghost hunters and paranormal investigators, all hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Cell 14D has an eerie atmosphere that can make even the most skeptical visitor feel uneasy. Some have even claimed to have seen the glowing eyes of the thing peering out from the darkness. The stories of Alcatraz's haunted past continue to draw visitors from around the world, all eager to experience the island's eerie atmosphere for themselves. From the chilling tales of ghostly encounters to the island's dark history, Alcatraz remains a place of mystery and intrigue. So if you're brave enough, take a trip to Alcatraz and see for yourself what secrets this infamous island holds. Just be prepared for the possibility that you might not be alone. Cherro Gordo, sitting in the rugged landscape of Inyo County, California, was once the glittering jewel of silver mining towns, literally. This fat hill, yes, that's what Cherro Gordo means in Spanish, was named by savvy Mexican prospectors who knew where to find the goods. At its zenith, the town boasted hundreds of ramshackle structures and enough miners chasing silver dreams to make it look like the Old West version of Wall Street. The silver rush officially kicked off in 1865 when Pablo Flores discovered the shiny stuff. Word spread faster than free beer, and by 1867 prospectors were flocking to Cherro Gordo like moths to a flame. Local entrepreneur Victor Baudry joined the party in 1866, opening a store and snapping up mining claims like a 19th-century Jeff Bezos. By 1869, Cherro Gordo was the nation's leading producer of silver and lead. Teams of mules regularly trudged between the town and Los Angeles, delivering precious metals and probably some saloon gossip. The town itself was a classic boomtown setup, with mines, bars, a general store, a hotel, and enough gunfights to keep the local undertaker in business. If you wanted law and order, this wasn't your place, unless your idea of justice involved a six-shooter and a quick draw. But like every good rags-to-riches story, Cherro Gordo's silver lining didn't last. In 1877, a devastating fire swept through the mines, taking most of the infrastructure with it. Falling silver and lead prices sealed the deal, and the town emptied faster than a poker player's pockets on a bad night. It saw a brief resurrection in the early 1900s for zinc processing, but that too fizzled out, leaving behind a skeleton crew of caretakers. In June 2018, Cherro Gordo was sold for $1.4 million. Chump change for a ghost town with 336 acres and several vintage buildings, including a general store. The new owners, Brent Underwood and John Beer, dreamt of turning it into a tourist attraction, though the town's haunted past seemed to have other plans. In 2020, an electrical fire claimed the historic American hotel, an ice house, and a residence. Talk about bad energy. Still, Underwood remains committed to bringing Cherro Gordo back to life, or at least a charming state of undeath. Who wouldn't want to visit a ghost town with a history of gunfights, mule trains, and a name that literally means fat hill? Cherro Gordo is haunted because, let's face it, any town that saw gunfights, mining disasters, and an entire economy built on digging silver out of a fat hill is bound to have some restless spirits kicking around. This Old West boomtown was a hotbed of chaos, lawlessness, and tragedy, and ghosts seem to love places with that kind of resume. Cherro Gordo's mines were dangerous, with fires, collapses, and accidents claiming countless lives. Some say the spirits of these unlucky miners still linger, trapped in the labyrinth of tunnels. Visitors have reported hearing phantom footsteps, echoing through the shafts, and distant voices when no one else is around. With a saloon on every corner and a lack of law enforcement, the town's nightlife often ended in gunfights. Legend has it some of the more trigger-happy residents never left, eternally haunting the streets they once swaggered down. The now-destroyed American Hotel was rumored to house more than just paying guests. Strange shadows and eerie whispers were frequently reported by those brave enough to stay overnight. One story tells of a ghostly figure seen sitting at the bar, perhaps longing for one last drink. The fire that ravaged Cherro Gordo in 1877 and the more recent blaze in 2020 seem to have left an imprint. Some visitors claim to feel cold spots and a heavy sense of dread near the remains of the old structures. Ghosts love places where life was lived hard and ended abruptly. With Cherro Gordo's dramatic history of fortune and misfortune, it's no wonder the spirits didn't pack up when the miners did. So, if you're planning a visit, just remember, the spirits might still be prospecting for company. All right, ghost hunters, we're heading up the coast to Moss Beach Distillery. It's a restaurant perched right on the edge of a cliff, overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Sounds romantic, right? Well, it is. Until you remember that it's also built on a former speakeasy and smuggling tunnel from the Prohibition era. And where there's booze, there are bound to be some restless spirits. The most well-known resident ghost at the Moss Beach Distillery is known as the Blue Lady. In the 1930s, the distillery was a popular speakeasy during Prohibition. It is said that the Blue Lady was a beautiful young woman who frequented the establishment. She was married but had a secret love affair with a piano player or bartender at the speakeasy. The story takes a dark turn when the woman was reportedly murdered on the beach near the distillery under mysterious circumstances, possibly involving jealousy or betrayal. The Blue Lady's spirit is believed to linger at the distillery, searching for her lover or trying to resolve unfinished business. Patrons and staff report seeing her apparition, often described as a woman in a blue dress. She's also associated with cold spots, objects moving on their own, and unexplained lights or voices. Visitors and employees at the Moss Beach Distillery have reported a variety of supernatural occurrences. The Blue Lady has been seen in mirrors, walking through the dining area or near windows overlooking the beach. Some people feel a gentle tap on their shoulder or an unexplained brush of air when no one is around. Lights flicker, phones ring with no one on the line, and electronic devices malfunction without explanation. Items disappear and reappear in odd places, and chairs are found moved or overturned. The Blue Lady's haunting is often attributed to the combination of her violent death and the emotional turmoil of her love affair. Her spirit may be drawn to the distillery because it was the place where her secret romance flourished, making it a significant location in her life. The Moss Beach Distillery embraces its haunted reputation, and the Blue Lady has become a local legend, attracting ghost hunters and curious visitors who want to experience the paranormal firsthand. The restaurant even mentions the story in its promotions, blending history and folklore into its charm. The Glen Tavern Inn is a charming hotel in Santa Paula, Ventura County, California, where history meets hospitality and ghosts, allegedly, check in but never out. This vintage gem earned a spot on the National Register of Historic Places in 1984, cementing its status as both a City of Santa Paula and Ventura County landmark. Conveniently located in the Santa Clara River Valley, it's just 12 miles, or a quick ghostly sprint, from the Pacific Ocean. Built in 1911, the Glen Tavern Inn was a swanky addition to Santa Paula's booming oil town scene, which also served as the HQ for Union Oil. Designed by the talented architects Burns and Hunt, the Tudor Craftsman Hotel was funded by a group of 25 wealthy townsmen who each chipped in $1,000. A hefty price for 1911, but probably just a small loan by their standards. Strategically placed across from the train depot, the hotel offered a cushy spot for oil tycoons, citrus moguls, and Santa Paula's social elite to schmooze, booze, and snooze. The roaring 1910s also brought Hollywood knocking, as the town's rugged beauty became a favorite backdrop for westerns. Early stars and film crews found their way to the Glen Tavern Inn, as did some heavyweight guests like politician William Jennings Bryan and pianist Ignacy Jan Paderewski, because why not mix politics and music with a bit of Wild West flair? By the 1920s, the hotel's popularity led to a rather inventive expansion. The attic was transformed into a third floor for guests. Rumor has it this was also when the inn gained a few permanent residents of the spectral variety. During World War II, the U.S. government took over the property and converted it into a women's dormitory for workers at Port Hueneme. Talk about switching gears. But by 1946, the hotel was back in business, ready to welcome new guests, and maybe a few old hauntings. Like many small-town landmarks, the Glen Tavern Inn faced hard times by the 1960s. With the train depot shuttered and the town overlooked by economic development, the hotel struggled to maintain its glory. For decades, it shuffled through owners, slowly fading into flophouse obscurity. Fast forward to the early 2000s, developers with a passion for preservation took on the Herculean task of restoring the inn. From 2005 to 2007, the hotel underwent extensive renovations, which were briefly interrupted by a fire in 2006, because of course, drama never left this place. Thankfully, firefighters saved the day, and the inn emerged from the ashes like a historic phoenix. By 2007, the Glen Tavern Inn reopened as a full-service hotel with a modern touch. But don't worry, they kept all the vintage charm and, reportedly, the ghostly guests. In 2008, the restoration earned the hotel accolades from the United States Senate, Congress, and California State Assembly, because if you're going to make a comeback, you might as well do it with certificates and style. Room 307. This room is the epicenter of ghostly lore. Stories suggest it was once a makeshift gambling den and brothel. According to local legend, a cheating gambler was murdered here and his spirit supposedly lingers, either out of guilt or unfinished business. Another common ghostly sighting is a woman dressed in a flowing white gown. Some say she was a tragic bride-to-be, while others suggest she was connected to the brothel days of the inn. Her presence is said to be felt in various parts of the hotel. Guests and staff have reported hearing giggles and the sound of a child running down the halls, even when no children are present. Some believe it's the ghost of a little girl who met an untimely death at the inn, though details about her story are hazy. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers have reported cold spots, disembodied voices, and items moving on their own. Room doors have been known to unlock mysteriously, and some guests report waking up to see figures standing at the foot of their beds. The exact number of deaths at the Glen Tavern Inn remains unclear, but historical records and local lore hint at a few possibilities. During its rowdy days as a gambling and drinking hotspot, altercations could have easily turned deadly. One story claims a man was shot in room 307 during a heated card game. Tales of a sex worker meeting a violent end have persisted, though specific names and dates are elusive. As with any century-old building, it's likely that some guests passed away naturally while staying at the inn, potentially contributing to its haunted reputation. Unrecorded tragedies. The Glen Tavern Inn's long history, including its time as a dormitory during World War II, leaves plenty of room for undocumented accidents or deaths. Whether these stories are based in fact or the product of overactive imaginations, the Glen Tavern Inn has become a hotspot for ghost enthusiasts. If you're staying there, don't be surprised if you feel a cold breeze or catch a glimpse of something or someone out of the corner of your eye. Knott's Berry Farm in Orange County, California didn't start with thrilling roller coasters or spine-tingling haunted mazes. It began with berries, pies, and a knack for hustling. Walter Knott, 1889-1981, and his wife Cordelia turned their humble berry farm into an empire of fun, one fried chicken dinner at a time. Back in the 1920s, Walter and Cordelia set up shop along State Route 39 near Buena Park, hawking berries, preserves, and pies to passers-by. Think of it as the OG farmers market stand, before Instagram influencers made it trendy. In 1932, Walter swung by Rudolph Boyson's farm in Anaheim and scored a game changer, a hybrid berry that was part blackberry, part raspberry, part loganberry, and 100% genius. Armed with 6 sad, wilted berry plants, Walter worked his magic. When curious customers asked what this new berry was, Walter named it the boysenberry, because apparently awesome Frankenberry wasn't available. The Great Depression hit hard, but Cordelia had a plan to keep the lights on: fried chicken. Not just any fried chicken, mind you, but meals served on her fancy wedding china. And because a meal without dessert is just sad, she added her famous boysenberry pie to the menu. Word spread, and soon, hungry travelers were lining up down the road for Cordelia's cooking. It didn't hurt that their spot on Highway 39 was a prime pit stop between Los Angeles and Orange County beaches back when a quick trip took 2 hours. As more and more people showed up for chicken, the Knotts realized they needed to entertain the waiting hordes. They added wishing wells, rock gardens, miniature waterfalls, and even a grindstone for those inclined to get nostalgic about ye olden days. Inspired by their travels, the Knotts threw in a replica of George Washington's Mount Vernon fireplace because why not? Soon, the place was teeming with quirky attractions: a giant petrified log, a redwood cross-section older than your great-great-great-grandparents, and even a visible beehive, because nothing screams family fun like staring at bees. Guests snapped pics with wagons, an ox cart, and whatever other random cool stuff the Knotts could find. Eventually, the whole operation got an upgrade in branding and became Knott's Berry Place. What started as a berry patch and a roadside hustle turned into a one-of-a-kind landmark. Next stop, full-blown amusement park. And that's how Knott's went from boysenberries to big-time thrills, one fried chicken dinner at a time. The park's Ghost Town section features authentic relics and buildings from the Wild West era, which some believe have residual energy or spirits attached to them. These relics may have connections to violent or tragic events from that time. Employees and guests have reported strange occurrences at this iconic restaurant, including flickering lights, unexplained footsteps, and the feeling of being watched. This former attraction, designed to be a fun, gravity-defying experience, reportedly had unexplained occurrences. Even though it no longer exists, some believe its energy lingers in the park. Visitors and staff have claimed to see shadowy figures, ghostly apparitions, and unexplained movements, particularly in the ghost town area and on certain rides. Before becoming an amusement park, the land was used for farming, and some believe spirits from the area's past may still roam the grounds. Walter Knott, the founder of the park, was deeply involved in preserving Western history. Some speculate that his passion might have stirred up spiritual activity connected to the artifacts and buildings he brought to the park. The Timber Mountain Log Ride. Reports of ghostly laughter and movement near the ride's animatronics. The Mine Ride. Claims of spectral miners and eerie sensations. The Ghost Town Jail. Employees report hearing disembodied voices, particularly from the jail cells. Knott's Berry Farm embraces its haunted reputation, particularly during its annual Knott's Scary Farm Halloween event, which might amplify the spooky atmosphere and tales of hauntings. The Leland Stanford mansion didn't start as the grand estate it is today. It began as a modest two-story home for Shelton C. Fogus, a local businessman who clearly had an eye for potential. Enter Leland Stanford Sr., who decided the house needed a glow-up. He not only enlarged the mansion, but literally lifted it. Talk about taking things to the next level. It became California's executive mansion during Stanford's one-year gubernatorial stint and that of his successor, Frederick Lowe. Then, in 1871, the Stanfords embarked on yet another ambitious home makeover, resulting in the mansion's current impressive size. By 1900, Jane Stanford, Leland's widow, donated the mansion to the Catholic Church of Sacramento, which turned it into an orphanage with the cheery name the Stanford and Lathrop Home for Friendless Children. Apparently, subtlety wasn't in vogue back then. Run by the Sisters of Mercy, the mansion saw many changes over the years, including a fire that scorched its fourth floor in the 1940s. By the 1950s, the Sisters of Social Service took charge, and the home officially became a state landmark in 1957. California bought the property via eminent domain in 1978, and the Sisters stuck around until 1987. A major renovation effort in the 90s brought the mansion to its current role as a state park and the governor's protocol-receiving building. Fancy, huh? Despite its storied past, the Leland Stanford Mansion isn't exactly a ghost hotspot. Sorry, paranormal fans. However, there is one notable story involving the spirit of Leland Stanford Jr., the Stanfords' beloved son. According to lore, after the tragic death of their only child, Leland Jr., from typhoid fever during a European trip, his grieving father reportedly saw his son's spirit. In this vision, young Leland urged his father to redirect his parental devotion to all the children of California. Inspired, Stanford Sr. toured prestigious East Coast universities before founding Stanford University in Palo Alto in his son's memory. It's a heart-wrenching story, though not exactly spine-tingling. Jane Stanford, ever the determined mom, spent years trying to contact her son through mediums. While her efforts may not have yielded spectral success, they add an intriguing layer to the mansion's history. Ghost rating? 2 out of 5 spiders. It's a touching tale, but one ghostly appearance doesn't quite scream haunted mansion. The gift shop and visitor center are delightful. Who doesn't love gift shop priced postcards? There's a video on the mansion's history and a nifty model showcasing its many growth spurts. Sadly, photography inside the mansion is strictly off limits. If you want interior pics, you'll have to buy a postcard or Google it later. Keep in mind, the mansion still serves official state functions, so you might show up for a tour only to find it closed for, say, a high-profile ribbon-cutting ceremony. All right, Ghostbusters and paranormal enthusiasts, that wraps up part 2 of our spooky tour through California's most haunted hotspots. Hopefully none of you are watching this alone in the dark, or worse, while house-sitting an old Victorian mansion. If you are, well, don't look behind you. From ghostly governors to restless spirits pacing cemeteries, California has certainly earned its haunted reputation. And let's be honest, who needs sleep when you have a solid lineup of ghosts to think about at 3 a.m.? You're welcome for the nightmares. If you love the thrills of part 2, here's your mission. Be on the lookout for part 3. We're just getting started with this ghostly road trip. And trust me, the next stops are guaranteed to give you chills. We're talking more haunted hotels, eerie prisons, and maybe even a spectral surfer or two. California's ghosts are nothing if not diverse. Did you miss part 1? What are you even doing here? Go back and check it out. You'll find some absolute classics, including ghostly legends you probably didn't even know were lurking in your own backyard. Don't worry, we'll wait. Actually, no, we won't. This train of terror isn't slowing down for anyone. As always, don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying this ghostly ride. Smash that subscribe button if you're brave enough to join us for more haunted adventures. And for the truly fearless, ring the notification bell. It's like summoning a ghost, but way less risky. Drop a comment below and let us know which haunted spot from today's list you're never visiting. Or better yet, which one you want to explore. Are you team let's go ghost hunting or team absolutely not I value my sanity? Let's hear it. Oh, and if you've had your own paranormal experiences, we want to hear about them. Share your spooky stories with us, and who knows, maybe they'll make it into a future video. After all, ghosts love a good shout out too. Thanks for joining us on this chilling journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and maybe keep the lights on, just in case. See you in part 3 if you dare.